I've trained calisthenics for 10 years. I've solely focused on strength. But what's on the other side? What can we learn from endurance? This is my journey to running a 70-kilometer ultramarathon in Japan. Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 67 of Road to Shimanami, and today I am doing another push day, feeling a little bit better than yesterday, so we're about to have some fun. And it's gonna be another one of those complete push days, I guess, where I do power as well as the endurance stuff. And you don't need a lot of exercises to accomplish this. For me, I just like to do some skills, mainly the planche, and then, when it comes to endurance, you pick either push-ups or dips, and probably on the push front, you're good to go. So yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting today. First part of the workout is just gonna be exactly what I did yesterday, but hopefully better. So one arm planche attempts, one arm handstand attempts, and then some explosive attempts of the deep push-up. And I wanna see if I can get a clean one with 2 kilos. Not completely body weight today, but that's gonna be fun. And then on the dips, I'll be playing around with some longer sets because when it comes to calisthenics endurance, I think, in order to build the endurance, in order to build volume, there are like 2 cycles you have to go through. You either, or the first one being building up the volume, right? You do shorter sets and you try to build volume that way because every set is submaximal, so you can recover easily from them and then build general volume and capacity. And once you've, grown a little bit in the volume department, then you can make your sits a little bit longer, and that's what I'm gonna do today. So yeah, that's gonna be excited, but I'll talk more about that, when we get there. First of all, let's do some one-arm planche and handstand attempts. Ah, nice. Ah, damn it. All right. The power is quick to go. Okie dokie, so I guess one thing that I should mention is, well, I am a master. No, I'm not a master. I'm a jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's what I'm trying to say. And what I mean by that is, well, I train a lot of different stuff, right? Not only this one arm planche and handstand, the planche. I'm also doing pull skills. I'm only also doing basics. I'm also doing legs and the running. The running is the most important one. And so I'm doing this training, and I get a good hold here and there in one arm planche, but I don't expect to get as strong as I used to be at the one arm planche because I used to focus on the one arm planche. It used to be one of my main goals, while now it's just something that I do, having fun in between the running, right? And so if you're training for a goal and like you really care about one skill, make sure that it becomes your priority. Tailor your training in a way that the rest of your training does not affect the recovery for your main goal. Because guess what? At the moment, I'm doing these one-arm planches and handstands, but they are the least of my priorities. I am tailoring my training in a way that it doesn't affect my running a lot. And so, it's of course good to strive for different goals and to want to progress, but also make sure realize that you're a human with so much energy. Your energy is limited, and the more you spread your energy around different goals, the less energy you can spend on each of those goals. Because guess what? your energy is being sapped away by other goals you have as well. So, be careful when adding stuff to your training. But anyway, for one arm planche, I got one good hold, so I'm happy with it. And yeah, now I'm gonna move on to some normal planche. So these first exercises are just hitting my shoulders. If you care about muscle building, planche will hit your shoulders. I don't really care about it, but I guess I just wanted to mention that. Now I'm gonna do some explosive planche push-ups. Yesterday I did them as well, so I just want to do the same thing, 3 sets of one push-up to a press, and yeah, be as explosive as possible, even more explosive than yesterday. So yeah, let's go. Okie dokie, let's add a bit of weight. Ah. Oh boy. Okie dokie, so my microphone decided to die, but yeah, I did a 2 kilo weighted planche set push up to press. Not perfect, but better than yesterday. And I'm not aiming for perfection, I'm aiming for improvement. So, very happy with how that went. And afterwards, I removed the weight and I was just flying on that first push up. It's like the Dragon Ball training where Rock Lee is in battle and removes his ankle weights and, explosions on the ground because the weights are so heavy, and then it just starts being explosive and quick and beating up Gara. But anyway, that's how it feels. That's how it feels to do weighted training, right? I highly recommend it if you want to build some top end power, and the top end power is eventually also gonna come in handy if you want to build endurance. Speaking of which, let's talk about endurance, right? What you're looking at right now is 10 sets of 50 dips, and I am super like I didn't know what was going on because I was going to do sets of 50 dips every 3 minutes, expecting to maybe do 5 sets or 6 if I'm lucky. But in between the sets I started to realize like, hey, this is burning like hell, but I can take it and I can go further and I can do 10 sets. And I every set I was just like, is it supposed to be this easy? Checking the reps if I counted correctly, but I'm pretty sure I did. I'm just gonna play all the sets as they are, no speed up or anything. But yeah, I was very surprised with the endurance I have built up now. Because guess what? Yeah, I've been doing endurance for a while and I've been getting the question on how to build endurance as well. And let's talk about that. So you have two types of endurances. I guess you have the one set endurance where you just try to do as many reps as possible in one set, and then you have general volume endurance, which is more about capacity, the capacity to keep going with a little bit of rest in between. And let's talk about how to build up the second one, because I believe if you have good capacity, if it's the same as with power, if you have power, you can quickly build up endurance. If you have capacity, you can quickly build up one set endurance as well, I feel like. So yeah, let's talk about the how to build volume, and it might sound like I'm stating the obvious, but I feel like a lot of people are not doing the following training, which is, or focusing on building volume in their training. So that's the most important part. Oftentimes when you see people training for endurance, you will see them maxing out from the start. You will see them doing one set of max push-ups and then rest a little bit and do it again and again and again. And you're getting all of this stimulus at maximum effort, and it's super difficult to recover from. But you want to build general volume, not only in one session, but also over, the span of a certain period. For example, a week. You want to just get used to doing more volume, and that will build your endurance. Within your training, it's the same thing. So what I try to focus on is not how many reps I can do in one set, but rather to pick a certain set and try to do it as many times as possible. So for example, last time I did sets of 15 dips. That's a very short set, but I did it every 27 seconds and I tried to do it for 15 minutes, resulting in 500 dips in 15 minutes. Now, by doing so, it's kind of the dips. Of course, it's like a bit of a power movement. You're getting stronger if you're training dips, right? Because it's a strength movement, but at the same time, you're building that volume, and your goal should really just be to make the exercise into cardio or make it feel like it's cardio. So you want to keep your heartbeat kind of high. You can do this by making your sets shorter and having shorter rest time. And by focusing on doing a certain sets for multiple sets, right? So the first set is gonna feel easy, the second set is gonna feel a bit harder, so on and so forth. By doing so, what you're basically doing is building, or you're doing a lot of volume, but the first 80% of your volume is kind of not at your maximum capacity, right? So for me, the first set of 50 dips today, it felt like I didn't even do anything, right? I was so surprised on how easy it felt. And then the second one, it was a bit harder, and the third one a bit harder, and so on and so forth. But until set number 8, or I guess, yeah, 7, 8-ish, it really wasn't that hard. It was burning, but I was able to keep going quite efficiently. And on those sets number 8, 9, and 10, that's where I really started to struggle. And so what you're doing is you're building general volume, but that final stimulus to make you stronger is limited to the final few sets. And that's enough. That's the only stimulus you need. But at the same time, you're doing that volume, which is, gonna give you better endurance. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm forgetting a lot of stuff, but hey, I can talk about it in the future as well. So yeah, if you have more questions, put them in the comments and then I'll talk about it. But yeah, focus on your total volume. Don't focus on maxing out from the start. Focus on maxing out towards the end of your workout. And well, make sure to work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. I'll see you tomorrow.